Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this latest episode of Now That's Significant, a market research podcast. This is your host, Michael Howard, the head of marketing at InfoTools. Today, we're joined by Aryn O'Donnell, Vice President of Corporate Services for Fieldwork Inc. Fieldwork recruits respondents according to client specifications and hosts in-person, remote, or hybrid research sessions where clients uncover insights for brand and business impact. Aryn works to connect clients with their perfect fieldwork solution. She's dedicated to cultivating and nurturing relationships with their clients. Thanks for joining us on the show today, Aryn.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, Aryn, what's the most significant thing you're going to tell us today, which we'll unpack throughout the episode?
Great question. Well, the most significant thing that I want to talk about today is the fact that in-person research is happening. And there's just so much yes, exactly. We are very excited and really just unpacking how much there is to gain when people gather in person. You know, I think about my experience with in-person conferences lately. There have been a lot going on in our industry, which is exciting. And what those relationships look like compared with the remote conferences we've been doing for the last 2 years, and really the depth of connection that can be gained by being in person, by being open to the randomness of connections that can happen, and really how that applies to gathering deeper insights that our clients are looking to gain.
Yes, and if you might want to remind people why in-person events are back now, why they left, why they weren't around for the last 2 years.
Yeah, you know, we've had this little thing called COVID for the last 2 years, and it's, you know, it's taught us a lot, absolutely, and how we gain insights. But you know, the market research community never stopped. We were constantly figuring out how to connect with ideal respondents, and Fieldwork was there along with other industry partners, fighting to ensure our clients could continue to connect with respondents and gain those insights that their clients seek out from them.
That's right. Just a quick little side note. I remember hearing a story of a couple that took their boat out on a journey just before COVID hit. So they left, they had no radio contact with, and then they landed in South America somewhere to COVID just changing the world. I mean, how incredible would that have been?
It was an overnight thing. It felt like at a certain point. I heard a celebrity was on a retreat for like 2 weeks, and the same thing where he came out of it and the world was different.
So a qualitative research partner can encompass quite a lot. What are some industries and types of research that you support at Fieldwork?
Yeah, so obviously it'd be helpful to define what we do, why we're advocating for in-person research, and why we're able to support it. So, you know, you think about your day-to-day and everything you use, from the apps on your phone to the food that you're eating to maybe the devices you use to give yourself medication that you need. Fieldwork is part of all of that research. So we are here to find the ideal respondent for our clients to be able to connect with, and that applies to medical device usability. Fieldwork actually just opened a new sim center in Boston to support med device research. We support jury research, so mock jury research, UX research, taste tests, ethnographies. We call ourselves people finders and problem solvers. So it applies to a lot of different industries. And I think more and more industries are realizing the importance of qualitative research, of talking to that right participant so they can get the insight that furthers their product.
Well, the jury research itself would be quite fascinating, because obviously that's juries are kind of like a little sample group, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, those are always the fun ones. I think that, you know, it's always interesting to see what capacity you need different people in for what different types of projects. And, you know, we're really lucky to be able to support a lot of different industries. And also with that is learning the lingo of all the different industries, right? Everyone has their own way of communicating things. So while our standard may be calling a respondent, the person recruited, I guess, a respondent. Each industry has their own terminology, whether it be participant or user or juror. So it's always interesting to learn about what else is going on in all the other industries.
For sure. So many businesses were met with unexpected challenges over the last couple of years. So upon reflection, what has Fieldwork done in its 40-year history that made it ready to overcome those challenges?
It's a great question. I think we were definitely not alone in overcoming challenges of the last 2 years of finding a new way in an industry, in an area, I guess, an expertise that's really focused on in-person. Like many of our clients, we had to change very quickly to be able to support online research, to be able to support our clients' new needs, and then get them back in person and how we are able to support them as they came back in person. So at Fieldwork, we really view change as inevitable. We know it's going to happen. It's happened over the last 40 years. It'll happen in the next 40 years. And so we have systems in place to be able to respond quickly. We have channels created to continually be in communication with one another, to share operational best practices. These exist both internally and externally. When in March of 2020, we began regular meetings with our different teams within Fieldwork. So with our presidents, our project managers, our phone room specialists, to share operational best practices, to share what was going on, to really bring all that knowledge together and apply it to best support our clients. We also have these channels externally with our clients. We have trusted long relationships with these clients, and they were answering questions they never thought they would have to answer and taking on new challenges they never expected to be taking on. How do you do a taste test remote? How do you bring people in for something that has to be touched and felt? And so we were really along with them, figuring it out together. So I think both the trust that existed internally and the trust that existed externally, also having relationships within the industry, and to be able to share with other in-person organizations. We partnered with different facilities across the industry to start the face-to-face MRX initiative to get the word out about how in-person was happening, what it looked like. And so being able to really rely on each other and build each other up, not just as individuals with our clients, but with the industry as a whole.
That's a really good point. Can you walk us through what in-person research looks like now compared to what it was a couple of years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. The evolution has really mirrored what our experience has been like throughout the last 2 years. So, let's go to January 2020. We had rooms filled with 30 people, unmasked, back rooms packed with clients, which I feel like now maybe some people listening to this, it's just like they're getting a little cringy thinking about that many people in a room together. And then obviously that changed. They weren't gathering in person and things started a little bit slower. We started with IDIs. We evolved into some more, I think we saw research that really needed to happen in person, from medical device usability testing, which had to happen in person, to taste tests for products that couldn't be shipped. So we were very creative problem solvers with our clients to figure out how to gather people when they needed to be gathered and really what that looked like, and making sure all involved felt really safe, which has evolved over the last 2 years and I think continues to evolve. We have some clients that have been doing in-person research with us since May of 2020 when our facilities reopened. We have some that haven't come back in person. And so really utilizing our knowledge to help our clients and our respondents feel comfortable. So one example of that was in the summer of 2020, we did a taste test, and one of our screening criteria was asking respondents if they had been to a restaurant before. We wanted to make sure they were going to be comfortable in a room with other respondents where they were tasting food. So we just wanted to make sure they were in, the right space. We never want someone to come into our facility, client, respondent, field worker, and not feel comfortable with the experience. Something else that was really important for us as the in-person experience evolved and continues to evolve was, especially here in the US, is rules and regulations varied so much state to state, even county to county. So it was really hard to keep track of, what was the regulation, what was the expectation. And at Fieldwork, we have local teams. So we really have local expertise. So if you're going to our Fieldwork Denver office, you're supported by a team that lives in in Denver. Sometimes they live in the office, but in the city. And so they know what the experience is like for the local respondents. They know what the rules and regulations are. And Fieldwork has always been built to be customized to our clients' needs through every step of the process, from proposal through invoicing. So that's nothing new to us, is being customized for what our clients need. And we continue to do that, talking with them from the beginning of the project, understanding what their expectations are of the respondent, and then making sure we're communicating that very clearly through. And I do think our 4-step recruiting process, which involves screening over the phone, allows for that dialogue with respondents. So instead of them just clicking a button saying, yes, I'm going to be there, it's having that dialogue, making sure they really feel comfortable with what the experience is going to be like. And we continue to see the need for in-person research, the desire for in-person research to grow, and we're here for it. We're excited to be welcoming more and more clients back to all of our facilities every week.
Yeah, cool. So that's an interesting point. So the pandemic has really brought out risk aversion. So you've got some people that are less risk averse, so they're happy to be going out and into public, meeting with groups again. The more risk averse, they're not willing to go out and venture out. And you're kind of creating two buckets of different people, and you're possibly getting a stronger weighting of the less risk averse into field research. Is that something that you're seeing at the moment? And if so, how are you trying to address that?
Yeah, even throughout the entire pandemic, we never really saw one group of people less open to participating in research. So we were taking into account, especially those, because we do a lot of medical research that may not be as comfortable to be out in public, is to do research online with them, or create a situation that they felt really comfortable being part of. We've always done medical research, and there's always been groups of respondents that it maybe wasn't the best fit for them to be in a facility with multiple people or in a room with multiple people. So we've always tried to create the situation that's best for that respondent. Yeah. But we really have closely been monitoring the types of respondent engagement, if we are missing a type of respondent. And I think with any methodology, it's really important to consider who you're able to get with that methodology. I know there were conversations throughout the pandemic with the remote option, is they were missing a certain type of respondent that may not have had access to internet or computers or what have you. And so just always thinking through that and how to make sure your research and you're opening it up and being accessible to those respondents that you're looking for.
Yeah, cool. Good. Great point. Many businesses are combating the questions of, I had no idea you did that. What do you wish people knew about fieldwork that they don't already know?
So we, at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was trying to figure out how to get online, right? You were trying to figure out how to do research online, how to keep it going. And we had so many clients that were longtime Fieldwork clients that were like, I just need to find an online platform. Stillbrooks had an online platform for the last 10 years. So we definitely fight that. I had no idea you did that. And I think the biggest thing I would love people to know about Fieldwork is that we're here to find a creative solution for you. So just ask. We've gotten some pretty crazy requests and we're here to find a solution for it. So whether it be to find, doing research in a small town where there's no facility and maybe no recruiting team, ask us. If you're looking to do research with a really specialized population, ask us. We're here to find solutions. We have a lot of tools in our toolbox, and want to be helpful. And I think more than anything, if you're trying to figure out in-person research, if you haven't ventured out that way, if maybe you've done IDIs, you're looking to do focus groups or ethnographies, ask us. We want to share our knowledge with you. You have the benefit of our experiences and what we've done. So please just ask us.
Yeah, cool. Now, fraud's quite a big topic for the insight sector at the moment. How has in-person research been affected by this over the last couple of years? And I guess a bit broader in that sense, sample quality.
That's a great question. It's something that Fieldwork talks a lot about. Our clients come to us to find the right respondent. And so that is our job, to find the right respondent and someone who is actually who they say they are. So for us, we really believe in a thorough screening process. And at Fieldwork, we have a 4-step screening process, which includes screening and validating our respondents over the phone. So this gives us 2 opportunities to make sure they are who they say they are. If it allows, based on the screening criteria, we'll go a step further and validate if there's a way to validate they use the product they say they use, or are involved in whatever they say they're involved in, it being a key screening criteria. Also, when it comes to combating fraud, having in-person research is one of the best ways to combat that, because you're actually seeing the person that you are talking to. We can verify idea on site, and I do think it's harder to lie in person. We also just have a lot of processes in place to help us combat that, to be able to identify someone who maybe is in our database multiple times, who's a triplet and is not actually a triplet. And that really comes with our recruiters very aware of the ways that respondents may try and get into a study, our screening process, and making sure that we're just active in the fraud prevention process.
So, Aryn, what's one of the most surprising things that you've noticed in the in-field research, particularly since the pandemic?
Yeah, I think it's really been how much people are craving it, craving being in person, the energy you're getting from the room. I'm hearing this both from the respondents as well as our moderators and researchers on site. We had a respondent that was here, and typically in qualitative research, we over-recruit, and she was sitting there and she told us, she goes, "Can you please just not pay and send me? I really want to participate in this. I've been surrounded by my family for 3 months. I just want to talk to strangers." So I'm just hearing this across the board of the excitement to be in person. And I think that excitement to gather leads to a deeper conversation and leads to more rich, robust insights gathered to then apply to the research that these brands are looking for.
And just on that then, have you noticed that people have been opening up more, and is it black and white between pre-pandemic, post-pandemic?
I wouldn't say it's black and white necessarily, that there's been this huge, flip, but it's definitely noticeable because we went from not doing it to doing it. I even noticed this in the with the in-person events I've been attending. You feel this different sense of excitement, this kind of unleashing of what we've been holding up. And while we've had this platform Zoom to connect on, or whatever platform you use to connect, just that in-person quality is so different and more robust and spontaneous.
Yeah, so I joined this company in December last year, and I think I've probably had 5 days of working at home. The rest have been in the office. So I've craved to work in the office, be around people again. So it is definitely something nice, even though we're feeling some of the impact of the pandemic still going on. So.
Yeah, I agree. I'm similar to you. I like being around people and that water cooler conversation, and you just never know what you're going to learn from a stranger that's next to you on the train, or being in those situations that maybe challenge us a little bit. So we're grateful to be able to have a safe space for our clients to gather with their ideal respondent and connect with them and, find what they need to know.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, cool. So before I wrap, was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we close?
I think we've got it all.
Nice. Well, so if I can give a quick summary of what we've talked about, in-person research is back again. It's another bow we can add to another arrow we can add to our bow. Feather. Yes. So there's so much to be gained when we gather in person, just the dynamics of groups as well. So it is really good to see that back again. We've heard about some of the work, the types of research that you at Fieldwork support. So in the medical industry, jury research, taste testing, ethnographies. And we've had a look at some of the unexpected challenges over the last couple of years as well. So yes, it has been quite the ordeal many of us have been through, but research is there to be able to help brands understand their audiences much better as well. So we've been very grateful that that's maintained. We had a look at the evolution of in-person research as well. And we touched on the fraud, subject of fraud, etc. as well, and just how it is harder to, not be who you're not, if that makes sense as well, when you're in person as well, harder to lie. So yes, very thankful for you coming onto the show today, Aryn.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Thank you. And thanks for everyone else who listened today. If you did like what you have heard, please subscribe to the podcast. Feel free to share it with others. Leave a review as well. We'd be very grateful. So thank you for listening to Now That's Significant.